Hi everyone and welcome to this webinar. I am Sarah Sen. I am the recruitment executive for the Bachelor in Management program on the London campus of ESCP Business School. And we are here today to discuss a really requested topic, which is what should we do to prepare the visa now that Europe left, well, the UK left Europe, and that you all need to apply for a visa now to study in the UK. So we hope to answer all your questions. And today I have our visa officer, Anna Loshkina, and she will be here to explain everything to you.
Hi everyone, Sarah, thank you very much for introduction. Once again, welcome to our webinar. Hopefully I will answer, if not all your questions today about student visa, how to apply, when to apply, what documents to provide us and to the Home Office. So hopefully everything will be covered. We will have also Q&A session at the end of the webinar, so we will answer all your individual questions. So if you have anything on your mind, just keep it till the end and we will definitely answer this.
Thank you, Anna. So without further ado, I leave you the floor.
Yeah, with great pleasure. So let me just check if I am able to control the slides, which I guess I should be able. Yes, and we can start. So what are we going to cover today? Just a small introduction of what we are going to be talking today. First of all, we will generally look at student visa, who is it suitable for how long it is going to be granted, what kind of rights you have on the student visa, and the most important thing, what is a successful application for a student visa. We will also have a closer look on the step-by-step process of the application, when to apply, how to apply, how much to pay, what documents to prepare for your visa application, and we will talk separately about the issuance of a CAS letter. So CAS letter, this is the document which is mandatory for students to have in order to apply for a student visa, and this document is provided by ESCP, so by us. And we also will cover the topic of what you should do once your visa is granted, and your further steps and your responsibilities in terms of being a student here in the UK. And at the end, as I said, we will have Q&A session. Me and Sarah, we prepared a couple of questions which are the most popular and the most frequently asked by our current students and prospective students. We will answer these questions, and then we will take individual questions from your side. And not to waste our time, let's start, and we will start with the overview of a student visa and the student visa route. So this visa was introduced quite recently in October 2020, and it replaced the Tier 4 visa, which was a visa for students. There is not much difference between Tier 4 visa and student visa, apart from the fact that now the European citizens have also to apply for this visa, and their rights are written in the particular document in student visa route. So the student visa is suitable for students who would like to study in the UK for more than 6 months. They can study for more than 6 months, and then they can also have certain like perks. For example, they can do the internship, they can have a work placement. Students are also allowed to work with restrictions though, but this is still allowed. What is the duration of the student visa? So the student visa, as I said, will cover minimum 6 months, but generally it covers the period of your study, which is going to be 1 year for you because you're a student in Bachelor in Management and you're coming for 2 consecutive semesters with us. So your semester starts in September and the second semester finishes in June. So this period will be covered by the student visa. Also, Home Office gives extra timing in the beginning and after the term ends. So usually it's 1 month before the course start date, which is granted for you as like a bonus. And depending on the length of your course, you can either get 2 months extra if your course is below 12 months, or 4 months extra if your course is higher than 12 months. So because you're going to stay from September till June, you will get 2 months extra granted at the end of your visa. So for most of you, your visa will be valid between August or September and up until August 2022. And what does it make to have a successful application for a student visa? So student visa, this is a point-based visa system. which means that you need to have a certain number of points in order to get a successful application. So these points are in total 70, out of which 50 you will get if you prove that you are genuine students. So how you can prove it? You will prove it by having the confirmation of acceptance, which is called CAS letter, which will be issued by us, by ESCP London campus. And in this CAS letter, we will provide such information as your course, your qualification, the level of study, the place of study, and some other information, which will prove that you are enrolled with us and that you are going to study with us for the duration of your stay here in the UK. So for this document, you will get 50 points. You will also need to score 10 points to meet the financial requirements. To meet the financial requirement, you need to show the certain level of funds that you need to have in order to maintain yourself here in the UK. And another 10 points you will show by your knowledge of English. You need to prove that your knowledge of English is at a certain level, and this should be proven by one of the tests or one of the in-house tests that we're going to run, but we will talk about this later. So in total, you need to have 70 points. If you are going to have less than 70, if one of the conditions is not met, unfortunately, the application will be unsuccessful. So this is a brief overview of what is a student visa, and now we will see a bit closer step by step the application process. So when do you need to start to prepare for this visa, how to apply, and so on. So first of all, your journey in the application process begins with obtaining unconditional offer from ESCP. So once you have the unconditional offer and once you secure your place by paying the deposit, you can request the CAS letter. So this is the first mandatory document that you need to have before submitting your application. We will talk about requesting CAS at a later stage and what you need to do in order to request CAS, but this, without the CAS letter, you won't be able to submit the application. Once you request the CAS letter from us and once you are issued with the CAS letter, you can start the preparation or the submission of your application. You can submit application online. So the timing for the application, you cannot submit earlier than 6 months before the start date of your course. So anytime starting from March, you more or less can start the application and request the CAS if you have all the documents ready. So once you submit your application, you are paying the fee. The fee for student visa is £348, and together with a visa fee, you are going to pay immigration healthcare surcharge, which is £470 per year. This will be enough for you because you will stay here 1 year. What is immigration healthcare surcharge? This is basically your medical insurance. By paying this surcharge, you will be covered by the free NHS system in here. And if you're going to fall ill or if you need any medical assistance, you will be able to use the NHS for free. After you pay the fees, some students will need to book an appointment in their local visa center. Now I'm talking about international students which are not EU students. So they will need to book an appointment in the visa center in order to provide their biometrics and provide their passport. The system for EU students is slightly different. The EU students are more likely not to book an appointment in the visa center, but rather use the UK Immigration ID Check app, which they can install on their phones. And with this app, they will be able to scan and identify their documents, which is either passport or national ID card. With either booking an appointment or using the app, you will get the further instructions once you submit your application. So once you submit the application, the system will generate the answer for you, depending on your circumstances, the country where you are staying, and the nationality where you are, and the system will advise you if you need to book an appointment or if you can use the app to scan your identity documents. After this step is done, you need to prepare and scan your supporting documents. Again, the system will guide you and navigate you through the pages, and then you will, once you prepare all these documents, you will be able to scan them into the system. After this step is done, you will either attend the appointment, if this is for students who are non-EU international students. The students who are EU students and who would use the app, they don't need to attend an appointment. For all students, there might be a case that the Home Office will decide to invite them for a credibility interview. These interviews are either done in the visa center or they are done online. What is this interview about? So this interview will be scheduled to students where the Home Office has doubts about their genuinity. So if they have a suspect that the student is not a genuine student and the student is going to abuse the system or to overstay in the country, or the Home Office caseworker is not satisfied with the supporting documents, they might ask you to attend the credibility interview. This doesn't happen very often, but this also can be a case. And in this case, it will slightly extend the duration of the application process. Normally, it takes around 3 weeks to receive from the moment of submissions up until the moment of receiving the decision, about 3 weeks time. If you are going to be invited for credibility interview, of course, this can extend depending on the availability slots and depending on the results of the interview. So let's imagine you're not going to be invited for the interview. Then we're going to the next step, which is receiving the decision letter. If the application is successful, international students will receive a visa vignette glued in their passport, which is not their permanent visa and which is not a BRP card. This is just a visa vignette to enter the UK. EU students who use the app to scan their identity documents will not receive a visa vignette. They will receive digital status instead. Again, this digital status will be used for you to enter the country and to receive your final document, which is going to be BRP card. So once you arrive in the UK, either on your visa vignette or on your digital status, you will need to collect your BRP card. And once this is collected, some of the students will need to register with the police. With regards to registering with the police, it all depends on your nationality, and this will be written on your visa vignette. EU students won't need to register with the police, but other international students might have this in their visa vignette. If there is a line, you should register with the police, then you will receive further instructions how to do it. You need to do it after you receive your BRP card. So this is the process in a short, and the main steps which you need to take in order to get your decision and to get the BRP card. Normally, as I said, the whole process from submission to receiving your visa vignette will take approximately 3 weeks time. And now let's see what documents are mandatory and what you will need to prepare before submitting your application. So first of all, you need to have your passport, and the passport should be valid for the duration of your stay. And the passport should have 1 blank page in it. Apart from passport, as I already said, you need to request the CAS letter from ESCP. Once this is done, you will also need to have a proof of qualification. So for you, this is going to be in most cases the school certificate, the school final award. I understand that most of you will receive it sometime in July, so you will have to wait until July and have this final document ready. You will also need to have an English proficiency test. The English proficiency test might be either the one that you use for admissions, for example, TOEFL, IBT, Ielts, UKVI or Ielts Academic, or Cambridge Advanced, or it can be also the test which is accepted directly by the Home Office, which is Persons, IELTS UKVI, or Language Cert International. So there is quite a variety of different options how to satisfy English language requirements, and we are also going to run our in-house testing, which you will use as the proof of your English. I will talk about this a bit later on, but generally we will run this test for all students who wish to do it, probably at the end of the spring, starting from the end of the spring. Apart from English test proficiency, you will need to show TB test. Again, TB test is not mandatory for all students, but only for certain nationalities. You can check if you need the test via the link which is provided in this presentation, and you will get this link after the webinar finishes. So EU students won't need to provide TB test. Another nationalities, again, will need to check if their country is on the list of countries which are required to provide the TB test. Just to remind you, this TB testing should be accredited by UKVI. You cannot just go to the local hospital and do the tuberculosis test. It has to be in accredited center, which is approved by UKVI and Home Office. Another supporting document that you need to show is the proof of your maintenance funds. So you need to have on your bank account 12,006 pounds plus any outstanding fees for the current academic year in ESCP. So for you, it will be academic year 21-22. So 12,006 pounds plus any outstanding fees for this year. You can show this either on the bank statements, on the deposit accounts. You can have a student loan, for example, for this purpose. This money should be on your account for 28 consecutive days, and the document proving that you have these funds shouldn't be older than 31 days before the submission of your application. There is also so-called low-risk nationals list. On this list, you will probably find most of the EU countries. So these students are not requested to provide the proof of financials at the stage of the application. But the caseworker from the Home Office can request these documents at any point during working with your application. So we strongly recommend to have these documents ready, because again, if you don't have it ready, it will extend the timing of your application, and plus you might get yourself into the situation when you don't have the funds sitting on your account for 28 days. So I would advise all nationals and all students to have these documents ready before applying for the visa. And if you are sponsored by your parents, then you will need to provide a sponsorship certificate where your parents will say that they're happy to sponsor you and give you money. And also the birth certificate where the name of your mother and father will be written together with yours to prove your relationship. If we have here students who are below 18 years old, they also need to provide a consent letter from their parents, that their parents are happy that you will be staying here in the UK on your own and you are going to travel to the UK on your own. Also, there might be a list of other supporting documents which are relevant to the student's personal circumstances. For example, if the student had any previous visa refusals, Home Office will need to see the refusals letters. If you had any criminal convictions, you will also need to provide certain documentation with regards to the criminal convictions. So these kind of documents will be determined on the individual basis. And again, if you have any questions about this, you can always ask the visa team here in London, and we will look into your situation in a bit more details and individually. And I have several times mentioned that you need to obtain a CAS letter from ESCP. Now I will tell you just a little bit more about the CAS letter and how to request it and when to request it. So the CAS letter can be requested not longer than 6 months before the start date of the course. But we still advise you to request the CAS letter once you have all the documents ready, because the CAS letter will not be issued to you unless you have all the documents as per the checklist. So what you need to do in order to request CAS letter, you need to drop an email to Visa Support London, to our visa team here in London campus. We will provide you the list of the supporting documents that you need to present to us, and we will also give you the CAS request form, which you need to fill in. But just to give you an overview what kind of documents we will request, these documents are going to be corresponding with the documents that you are submitting for a visa application. Why we are requesting these documents? We are requesting them just to double check that that the chances that your visa is refused are going to be closer to zero. We will review your documents, we will review your financials, let you know if there are any points that need to be rectified. So that during the visa application process you have as less hassle as possible. So what you need to bring to us to get a CAS letter, you need to show the enrollment letter, the copy of your passport, the proof of payments of tuition fees, and or the proof of scholarship, for example, if you have any, your previous academic certificates, which will be a school certificate, the proof of meeting English language requirement, for example, the copy of the test, or if you're going to do, for example, in-house testing, we will have this information on the system as well. A copy of your TB test, again, if you're on the list of the nationalities who require it. The proof of financials to show the £12,006 plus outstanding fees which are held on the account for 28 consecutive days. And a sponsorship letter from your parents and the birth certificate if your parents are sponsoring you. And again, if we have students below 18 years old, we will ask to provide the parental consent. So as you can see, most of the documents that are on this list are going to correspond and duplicate the ones that you are going to submit to along with your visa application. So as I said, this is just to check that your application is going to be successful and you will be granted visa without any problems, without any delays, and of course without the refusal. And as an outcome of your application, hopefully you will be granted a visa. You will receive your passport with a visa vignette, or for European students who use the ID checkup, they will receive an email with their electronic status. On the visa vignette or on the electronic status, the students are allowed to enter the UK. Once the student enters the UK, you will need to collect your BRP card from the post office. You will be able to select the nearest post office to you on the stage of the application. Once you collect your BRP cards, then some students will need to register with the police. Again, you will have further instructions from the Home Office how to register, when to register, where to register. Students who don't need to register with the police. For them, their journey with getting the visa and getting the BRP is finished. So once you have the BRP card, you are obliged to report us certain information. So first of all, we will request probably sometime in October, we will send the emails with the request of information from your site. So you will need to provide us the copy of your visa vignette, the copy of your BRP card, your UK address, your contact details, and also the date that you entered the UK. So this is the information that we have to store in our system in order to be compliant with UKVI and Home Office requirements. Also, while you are here in the UK on the student visa, you have to comply to certain regulations. So, for example, you cannot work more than 20 hours per week during the term time. If there is any change of your circumstances, for example, if you decide to change your address, you need to inform us about this. If you decide to take a gap year, you need to inform us about this. If you decide to defer your studies or to withdraw from your studies, again, you have to report it to us, and then we will discuss your situation and what you should do as a next step. But remember, please stay in contact with us, because this is your responsibility to inform us about things that are happening in your life and in your studies. In a very rare cases, if your application is refused, we encourage students to send us the refusal letters. We will assess them, we will have a look, and we will advise you if you need to go for administrative review. This is the process when we request the Home Office to review their application if there was a major, for example, mistake from their side. Or we can advise you to submit the fresh application if the problem was on your side and you probably, for example, didn't provide some of the documents. So again, with visa refusals, also please consult us before taking any further steps. So with this one, this was the whole lot of the information that I wanted to give to you. Now we will just get into a little bit more detailed questions that we tend to receive from our new students who are just applying for student visa here in the UK. And yes, and Sarah will help me with this.
Yeah, I'm happy to help you with the FAQs. Just before we get into it, I was checking the chat box quickly, and someone asked if they will receive a copy of the presentation. So sorry, I forgot to mention, in your handouts, in your panel, you have the student visa guide that you can download, and all the crucial information that we are telling you today is in the guide. And also we'll give you Anna's info details at the end, so if you have other questions, she'll be happy to help. Okay, let's start with the FAQs then. Okay, so one of the questions we get a lot is, what documents are accepted as a proof of meeting financial requirements?
Yes, this is a very good question indeed. So mostly we will be accepting, and the Home Office will be accepting, the bank statements, the deposit balance certificates, and the student loan letters. So please bear in mind that bank statements, deposit and balance certificate need to have funds for 28 days. The student loan letters doesn't need to satisfy this requirement. If you get the student loan letter, you don't need to wait 28 days for the money to sit on this loan. And just one general rule with all the documents, it has to say that the funds are available to you at any moment. We don't accept, and Home Office will not accept, such documents as shares, bonds, overdrafts, credit cards, property or pension funds. Mostly because this type of accounts, this type of proof of financial doesn't mean that you are in the possession of the money at this very moment. And this, if you provide these documents, you will be refused 100%.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So next question. Can my aunt, for example, be my financial sponsor?
So the answer is no. You can only sponsor yourself by your own means, or you can ask your parents or legal guardians to sponsor you. Distant relatives, friends, companies cannot sponsor you for the visa purpose. So if you are sponsored by your parents or legal guardians, you will need to provide either a birth certificate or adoption certificate if we're talking about legal guardians, and the sponsorship letter from them saying that they're happy for you to use the certain amount of money. And of course the financial evidence that will need to be signed off by your parents, for example, if they're sponsoring you.
Okay, great. And then another question. So I am a low-risk national. Can I skip providing proof of funds while obtaining a CAS letter?
So yes, so if you are a low-risk national, as I said before, you don't need to provide the proof of financial on the stage of application, but you might be requested by the caseworker to provide this document on a later stage. Because this is quite highly possible that the caseworker can request this document, we request students to provide the proof of financial anyway, not depending if they are a low-risk nationals or a high-risk nationals. So for us, in order to get you a CAS letter, you will need to show us the proof of financials.
Okay, great, really clear. Our next question, can I work on student visa?
Yes, students are allowed to work, but with certain restrictions. Students can work up to 20 hours during the term time, and on holidays, they can work unlimited time.
Great, that's a good news. Another thing that we get asked a lot, do I need to a private medical insurance?
This would be individual's choice, because you will be covered by the free NHS system. So if you fall sick, for example, you can go to the local GP. If you need to do some tests, if you need to do some investigations, if you go to the hospital by any chance, this will be still covered by NHS. If you want to be looked after by the private specialist, by the private clinic, then you can consider this. This is not mandatory. This is your own choice. If you want to get a private medical insurance, you can do so. But in general, you will be covered by the free NHS system.
Yeah, correct. And you mentioned a bit earlier that there is a fee for that, so this is why it's included, right, in the visa, all in all.
Yes, so the fee is £470 per year. This is what students will pay.
Great. Okay. Another question, can I return to the UK for an internship or for work experience after my visa expires or after I finish the program?
So in general, you don't have the automatic right to return to the UK and start living in here after your visa expires. You will need to arrange a different visa type depending on what is the purpose of your next visit to the UK. For example, if you want to take a job opportunity, you can apply for such a visa as skilled worker. If you're thinking about internship, you might consider temporary worker visa. These visas should be sponsored by your direct employers. So you cannot just come here and have the automatic right to stay in the country. Also, it is worth to mention that the graduate route, which UK government is introducing at the end of spring 2021, unfortunately, this won't be applicable for you because you will be finishing your bachelor program on a different campus, not in London, and you won't qualify for the graduate route.
Yeah, okay, really clear. All right, and now what English tests are accepted?
So this year we made the system a bit more simpler for students. We accept most of the tests that are accepted on the admission stage. So for example, we accept Ielts, both UKVI and academic. We accept TOEFL IBT, we accept Cambridge Advanced, and also we accept Persons Academic and Language Cert International. So the requirement of the English test will be the same as when you're going through admissions. So the requirements to the level will be the same.
Okay, and now again about English. Do you run an in-house English test at ESCP?
Yes, as I mentioned before, we are going to run in-house English testing, which you will be able to use for your visa purposes. We will run them starting from the end of spring this year. Everyone who would like to do this test, they can drop us an email and just express their desire to do this test, and we will put you on a waiting list, and then we will contact you closer to the date with details of your booking. So these tests are going to be organized in the way that it will be similar to Ielts, so you will have four components and you will be scored in each component.
Okay, that's great. So another option for you if you want, if you don't want to take the other test and you prefer to do it with the ESCP directly. And now another question, we've put an example here, but let's say I'm a Moroccan citizen, but I live in the USA. Do I need to return home to apply for a visa?
If you have a legal right to reside in the third country, so in this case in the USA, you can apply from the USA without returning to Morocco. Yes, you need to have a legal status in the country where you are staying.
Okay. So that's a good news for everyone who's got another nationality and living abroad. Okay, so we've come to an end of our FAQs. Thank you so much, Anna, for all this precious information. Again, you can download the student guide, student visa guide in your handouts in your panel. Here is the information. If you need, you have any questions that maybe we don't have time to answer today, but we still have a lot of time, so hopefully we can go through all the questions. I suggest why not take a picture of this screen so you have the contact details. They are also on the visa guide, so no worries. And so we will start. I'm going to open the chat box and see, yes, we have a few questions already, so that is great. Okay, I'm going to, sorry, there is a really long list, but that is good, means that it is an important topic.
Yeah, questions.
Okay, so here someone is asking, I am a French national and go back once a month to France. Do I need to go to get a visa, student visa to do my first year of the bachelor?
Yes, I understand where this question coming from, because French nationals, they can stay up to 6 months without obtaining the visa here in the UK. On this type of visa, they cannot work and do internship, but they're still allowed to study, but up to a period of 6 months. So unfortunately, in your situation, in your case, because you're going to study with us 2 semesters, which is longer than 6 months, even despite the fact that you are regularly traveling to France, you will still need to apply for a student visa. So you cannot just come in and come out from the country, because this still will be recorded, and the overall time, you cannot spend more than half of a year in each year time without a visa. So in your situation, you still need to apply for the student visa. The student visa is a multiple entry visa. So once you get your BRP card, you can freely move between UK and Europe and your country and return back to studies as required.
Okay, that's really clear. So it's a different type of visa, so it's needed anyways. Okay, I have a few questions about English certificates. Someone here in the attendees is asking, I will get Cambridge Advanced certificate in June. When should I apply?
If you get the Cambridge certificate in June, and if you have the rest of the documents ready, you can apply in June. If you need to wait, for example, for your final award from your school or the place where you study at the moment, then you need to apply once you have this document. So basically, you can apply earlier, but we still won't process your case because we don't have all the necessary documents. We will have you on the system, and we will keep reminding you that you need to send us this document. But we advise students to apply when they already have all the documents in place, and this means that we assess your documents and we issue your case straight away.
Okay, very clear. Interesting question here about the Ielts test. So someone is explaining that they have taken the test, the Ielts academic test, and they had obtained a 7.5 grade, which is a great. And they're asking, do I need to give a separate Ielts UK visa test to apply for the visa?
So from this year, we are accepting both IELTS Academic and IELTS UKVI. So if you did this test not longer than 2 years ago, you can use this test with 7.5 that you have already.
Okay, that's great news. Amazing. A question about finance and the financials. So very interesting here. Indeed, someone asking, are the financial documents, do they need to have the name of the student, or can the name of the parent, is it okay to have a document with the name of the parents?
Yeah, if you have, if you're going to prove your financials by your parents' means, so basically if your parents are sponsoring you, then of course the financial document need to contain their names, because the bank account will be in their name. It can be either shared names, or it can be either your mother or your father. In this case, you will also need to provide additionally the birth certificate showing the names of your mother and father and your name, and also the consent letter from your parents, where they need to say that they are happy for you to use their funds.
Okay, great. That is, I think, really useful, because yeah, having to transfer the funds, I guess, from the parents to the children's account might be a bit complicated. So that's great news. I have a question here about, again, the English test. I think we have replied to the question, but I think it's good to show that the situation might happen to other people applying or who have applied already. So someone here in the audience who's doing an IB in English was exempted from having to show an English certificate. So for people taking classes in English, having their education in English, they don't have to provide an English certificate. It can be waived. However, they are asking, do I have to pass one for the visa? Yeah, they were asking about the in-house test, which we said, yes, we are doing an in-house test. So what is the answer? Do they have to do an English test as well?
Yes, if the student has international baccalaureate, this will not satisfy them language requirements in terms of applying for a visa. So this student will need to separately do either the one of the tests which I just mentioned, which is IELTS, TOEFL, Cambridge Advanced Persons, or the student can apply for our in-house test, and we will take the results from the in-house testing.
Okay, great. I think we have a few questions about that. So I hope that all the people who had a doubt about this have now their answer. Now something about healthcare. So yeah, we have also explained that during the presentation. So through the application process, do I have to pay the immigration healthcare surcharge? So before or after receiving the results of the application? That's really interesting.
Yes, so you will need to pay for a healthcare surcharge before you receive the results. So you are paying it on the application stage. So you will submit the application, you will pay the fee for the visa, and then automatically you will be redirected to pay the healthcare surcharge. Without paying the healthcare surcharge, you won't be able to even to book your appointment in the visa center. But then, for example, just in the very rare situation, if your visa application is refused, the visa fee will not be refunded, but the healthcare surcharge will be refunded back to you within, I think, 1 or 2 months time. And then when you're going to submit fresh application, you will need to pay it once again. But generally, it is refunded if the application is refused.
Okay, that's great. All right. Someone is asking about the score of the IELTS they should obtain. So I believe it's the same for as in the application. In the application is at minimum of 6.5.
Yes, all the tests, the English tests, are corresponding with admissions requirements.
Okay, very clear. So yeah, have a look at the admissions tab on our bachelor page. You will see all the scores that we require for each test. If you can also email myself or Anna. My email is bachelorlondon@escp.eu for any questions about application. If it's related to a visa, then I recommend to to contact Anna because she's the expert and she knows a lot about visas, as you can see today. And then
to add to this, sorry, Sarah, to interrupt, just to add to this, so students who are using English tests at the stage of admissions to ESCP, they can use the same test for visa purposes. So if you, for example, did Ielts already and you used it for your application to study with ESCP and it was accepted, you will use the same test. You don't need to receive this test. You can use the same test for visa purposes.
Okay, great. Someone is asking some precisions about the CAS letter. So they are asking, when shall we send the request for obtaining a CAS letter from the school so that they can start the official application process of the visa?
They can start official application for the visa only once they obtain the CAS letter, because they will need to use the special number on the CAS letter in order to start the application. Students can request CAS letter once they have all documents ready. So from main documents, what you need to consider, this is the final award from the place where you study. This is the English test, TB test, if you're on the list of nationals, high-risk nationals, and then financial requirements. So if you have all these documents ready, you can request CAS from us. So we will start issuing CASs from the middle of March. But if you don't have any of these documents, you still can email us. We will give you the list what you need to provide, and you can just work on this list and send us all the documents once you have them. But we would not recommend you to wait for it till the very, very end. So I would say that the deadline for you to obtain the CAS letter would be beginning of August, because after this time it's going to be quite challenging for you in order to put things together, submit the application, wait for the decision, and not be late for the course start date. So you're free to email us right now. We will give you further instructions. We will give you the list of the documents that you need to provide, and once you gather these documents, just return it to us.
That's very clear. And yeah, that's right. Don't wait too late, because the course starts in September. You never know if there is sometimes a small error that can make the process a bit longer. So it's always good to start the process quite early, so you are set with your visa, and that's something else to worry, something less to worry about. Okay, I have more questions about people who are studying in English and had a waiver for the application. And the answer is yes, you do need to take another test. You can take an in-house test. Contact Anna to have an appointment to take the test in-house.
Well, the only exemption for visa purposes, if the student was studying GCSE or A levels, but here in the UK, then they are exempt from meeting the English requirement. Or if you already have, for example, a bachelor, again, from one of the English-speaking country or from the UK university, then you're also exempt. But I believe these are quite rare cases through the students that we have in here in this webinar.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That is an interesting question we have here about the age. So I have someone asking, they are a minor, so they are under 18, and that will be for the totality of their year in London. How do they need a tutor in the UK?
So they will need to still apply for a student visa, not the child student visa. They will need probably to have certain care arrangements. Again, students which are 16 and above are allowed to stay in the UK individually and without any for example, tutor or without any guardian. They can travel individually and they can live here individually on their own. So it's not a mandatory requirement. It's probably up to you. If your parents, for example, are thinking that you will need some support, you can use the guardian company, or if you want to, for example, stay with your friends or relatives, it's also possible. But generally, there is no such requirement. As I said, for minors, for students who are below 18 years old, the Home Office and ESCP, we will need to see a consent letter from your parents, where they are either either saying that they agree for you to live on your own and travel on your own, or to give permission, for example, for you to live with your friends or relatives or guardian company. But you are allowed by law to live by yourself if you are above 16.
Okay, very clear. Someone here is asking some precisions about, again, the financial side of the visa. They want some precision, about what are the outstanding fees.
Outstanding fees. So I was talking that you need to show £12,006 as the maintenance funds, and then the outstanding fees of tuition. So, for example, let's just have some bulk number: 20,000 euros per year. This is what you pay. Then you paid, for example, already the deposit, which is 5,000, and you also decided to pay another 5,000 towards the first semester. Then you need to pay to show only 10,000, which is on your account. So whatever you need to pay for this year and you didn't pay, you need to show. Whatever you have already paid, you need to show us the receipt, and we will just again reflect it in the cost letter. So in the cost letter, it will show how much you already paid towards tuition fees, and the Home Office will calculate 12,000 plus anything that you need still to pay for this particular year, for 1 year of your studies.
Okay, yeah, so this really to show that you have the money there saved to pay your everything you need. So your year in the UK plus the tuition fee for your school, everything, right?
Yeah.
And then another question also about finance: can it be any bank in the world, or does it need to be a UK branch or a UK bank?
No, it can be any bank, but who is legitimately operating on the territory. So, for example, if you're coming from India, it can be, of course, an Indian bank. But this bank should be accredited by the financial awarding body. It has to be regulated by Indian law. It cannot be something which is not very legal.
Okay, yeah, a recognized bank, but it can be any bank internationally.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now a question about passports. Here someone is telling us, I am French and my passport has expired. Do I need to get a new one, or is my identity card ID enough?
So with identity cards, so as the rules are saying that students can be using identity cards to pass the border up until October. But still, when students are applying for a visa, they need to show the passport, not the identity card. So in your case, you need to firstly apply for a new passport, get the new passport, and apply for visa with a passport.
Okay, yeah, very clear. Passport is needed now for EU as well, EU nationals as well. Also now about the age limit, someone here asking, I will be turning 18 in August. Do I still need a consent letter from my parents?
No, you will be 18 in August. Well, depends when you apply. So if you are going to apply a bit earlier, and for example, you will be granted this 1 month before the start of your course to come to the UK, and then during this 1 month, you will still be 17, then you have to provide the consent. If, for example, let's say you will be applying in August already, and you know that your arrival date, because you will put your arrival date in the UK, is when you're already 18, then you don't need to provide the consent.
Okay, that's really clear. Another question about, well, related to the 18's consent, is there any template for the consent letter for people under 18? Is there something we can provide?
This template you will be able to find in the guidance, which is attached to this webinar as a handout. So in this guidance, there is a template for parental consent, and there is also a template for sponsorship certificate. If your parents are sponsoring you, there is a template, there is a wording that you can put in the sponsorship certificate or letter consent. Again, this is a document which you can amend. This is just one of the recommendations. If your parents think that they need to add there any kind of other information, feel free to do this because this is just a template. There is no certain rules about, there are no fixed rules about this.
Okay, great. That's a great help. Yeah, so the in the handouts tab of your panel, you can click on that document, which is called Student Visa Guide 2021 ESCP Business School, and it should download into your computer directly. I have questions about the school certificates. So here's someone saying, I'm receiving my baccalaureate certificate in July. Can I not start the visa procedure before that?
No, you will need to show your final results and final certificate. So unfortunately, you will have to wait up until the time you receive the final award. Still nothing to worry. We have quite a few students who will receive it in July. So if you apply at the end of July or very beginning of August, this is still fine.
Okay, great. In the meantime, they can start gathering all the other documents,
Yes.
contact you to make sure everything is in order. And so once they have the certificate, they just can go up online and submit everything, right?
Yes, yes. So of course, please start preparing, especially financials, especially when you need to show that the funds were on the bank account for 28 days. Put this money, let them sit there. It can be a longer period. If the funds are there above 28 days, it's absolutely fine, just not shorter. You can start preparing these documents, putting funds on your bank accounts beforehand, and then you can also contact us a little bit before when you receive the final award. Again, we will give you the list of documents, you will prepare everything, and just once you have this final awards ready, send it to us, and we will get you the CAS as soon as possible so that you can start the process.
Okay, great, very clear. An interesting question here. Someone is saying, my Ielts will be 2 years old in July. Can I apply for the visa in June without doing the in-house test?
If you are going to submit your application before the expiry date of your Ielts, you can do so. If you feel that you might apply a bit later, we recommend you to do the in-house test.
Okay, great, very clear. Okay, yeah, interesting here. Someone is saying, I received an ESCP scholarship. Do I also need to send a proof of that?
Yes, you will need to show us the proof, the confirmation that you got the scholarship and the amount of the scholarship, because we will deduct this amount from the tuition fees, and you will need to show to the Home Office, of course, less fees than if you would not get the scholarship. So, of course, yes, please send us the confirmation of the scholarship, an official certificate from ESCP.
Okay, amazing. I think there is a few questions. We still have a few minutes, so we will take the last questions. Here, really interesting question as well. What happens if you haven't been granted a visa at the time the course starts? Can you still start and receive the visa later?
So this is quite interesting question. We don't have very often such cases, but in this case, again, if your visa was refused and you are not going to get a new visa on time, we need to have a meeting together with the program administrators, and we might provide you with a new start date. So we might kind of play around your start dates. Maybe you will do some of the modules online. So again, it will be discussed on the individual basis, but generally it's like not that you don't have any hope in coming to London and starting with us, but you need to contact us. We will arrange a panel and we will discuss your situation, what we can do for you. We might consider moving your start date for later on, or you might start doing the course online up until the point that you get the visa.
Thank you, Anna. Sorry, I was choking, so I just muted myself for a second there. That happens. Okay, and another interesting question. They are asking about the housing and living fees. So really the financial that you need to show is that you have enough money to live, to have an accommodation in London, and also to pay your fees, right? So that is all the money that that the amount needs to be able to cover all that, right, Anna?
Yes, so this £12,006, this is called maintenance funds. So the maintenance funds include the potential cost of your accommodation, everyday expenses, traveling to and from campus. So this is called maintenance funds. You might spend less of this money, you might spend more of this money for your personal needs. It depends on your individuality. But the Home Office wants to see that you have exactly £12,006, not less. You can show, of course, more, but not less, for this reason, plus outstanding fees. But then you might plan your budget up how you want it. You might spend less, you might spend more. It's just for them to see that you have this money for basic needs.
Okay, yeah, very clear. Yeah, a quick question about the start of the classes. When do they start? Well, it's always early September. We don't have the exact dates yet, but it's probably going to be somewhere on the first days of September. You should receive the academic calendar a bit closer to the start of the year, probably during the summer. You will receive all the information for the next year, including the first day of classes and the induction days that come a bit before that. And then a last question that is quite interesting for the times being, with COVID, will students need to be vaccinated to get a visa?
At this very moment, there is no such requirement. I cannot guarantee you and say for sure that there will be no such requirement at the time when you are going to apply for a visa. It's hard to say, but at this moment, the rules are not requiring students to be vaccinated. So
okay,
this is not taken into the account. And frankly speaking, I don't think that this will be implemented in summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there might be a need to show a negative PCR, something like that when you enter the country. That's actually the case, I think, at the moment to enter in the UK. Yeah, we advise to check the UK government guidelines very often and closer to the day to know what you need to do when before entering the country to avoid any surprises. But yes, as Anna said, at the moment it's not required for visa. But yeah, you can always check the UK government guidelines on the official website and or email us if you have any doubts. Okay, so I think there is no other question coming. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here today. We hope we could help you in this process. We know it's a little bit, can be a bit worrying or complicated to understand. I think I have a few thank yous coming in. Thank you, Anna and Sarah. We are really happy. You're more than welcome, Diane and Francesca and everyone here saying thank you. Thank you for attending. Thank you so much, Anna, for taking the time to prepare this webinar with me, to being so knowledgeable for everything about student visa, for helping to prepare the student guide as well. We know that you are doing a fantastic job, and anyone, please don't hesitate to email Anna if you have questions about your visa, or myself if you have any questions about anything else about your year, about your application. I mean, I believe that most of you have applied now or are about to, but yeah, don't hesitate to contact us. So thank you so much again. I'm going to close this webinar. Thanks, Anna, and hopefully see you soon in another webinar maybe. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.